I'm Newt Gingrich, and I'm announcing my candidacy for President of the United States because I believe we can return America to hope and opportunity. I made a mistake.
Newt Gingrich was a career politician, selling access here in Washington, D.C.
The year that he ran for Congress in 1978, he made a grand total of $10,000. By the time he became the Speaker, he made $675,000. By the time he left Congress, he's brought his net worth up to about $7.5 million.
84 ethics complaints while he was Speaker, driven out of the speakership in disgrace.
Having to pay $300,000 for lying, for complete fraud.
Marianne and I have lots of things to do. Maybe earn a little bit of money.
Newt Gingrich is also the latest example of how the corrupt revolving door drives Washington.
Paid $100 million playing the revolving door game.
A big part of that is just lobbying money. Congress is really bought and sold. They're bought and sold legally.
If you've been Speaker of the House, you're always an insider.
Gingrich received up to $1.8 million from Freddie Mac just before it collapsed. His think tank's got $37 million from the healthcare industry.
Newt Gingrich renewed his support for an individual mandate, a key tenet of President Obama's healthcare law.
Newt Gingrich has been on both sides of a long list of issues.
He went the other way when he got paid to go the other way.
Do you think voters are going to, warm up to you because you're boasting about getting $60,000 a speech?
I was charging $60,000 a speech. Normally celebrities leave and they gradually sell fewer speeches every year. We were selling more.
He is the absolute symbol of that corrupt system.
Newt Gingrich. This guy hasn't got skeletons in his closets. He's got a whole graveyard in there.
I'm running for office, for Pete's sake.
Who is this guy? Can you trust him?
I have never supported the President's Recovery Act, all right, the stimulus. No time, nowhere, no how.
I think there is need for economic stimulus.
You're only allowed a certain number of flips before people begin to doubt your character.
The big issue with Mitt Romney has been the issue of abortion. Has he flip-flopped on abortion?
I will preserve and protect a woman's right to choose.
The right next step in the fight to preserve the sanctity of life is to see Roe v. Wade overturned.
He was pro-choice, then he's pro-life.
Or he flip-flops again, just like he did on abortion, just like he did on Ronald Reagan.
Look, I was an independent during the time of Reagan-Bush. I'm not trying to return to Reagan-Bush.
The principles that Ronald Reagan espoused are as true today as they were when he spoke them.
There you go again.
You remember Mitt Romney? He invented Obamacare before he was against it. You remember?
Well, that's what we did in Massachusetts, and that is we put together an exchange, and the president's copying that idea. I'm glad to hear that.
Obamacare is bad news, and if I'm president of the United States, I will repeal it. I don't think I've ever hired an illegal in my life. We hired a lawn company to mow our lawn, and they had illegal immigrants that were working there.
Flip-flop Mitt.
But I believe the world is getting warmer. I believe that humans contribute to that.
My view is that we don't know what's causing climate change on this planet.
Mitt Romney's reputation as a flip-flopper who changes position because of political expedience.
If Republicans didn't like Mitt Romney's position on the so-called union-busting proposal in Ohio, all they had to do is wait one day before he changed it.
I'm not speaking about the particular ballot issues.
But by today, Romney had a different answer.
I fully support Governor Kasich's, I think it's called Question 2 in Ohio.
He's changed his position on a number of issues.
Republican Mitt Romney says he will not sign a no new taxes pledge.
I'm proud to be the only major candidate for president to sign the tax pledge.
Your view has changed so dramatically.
I just signed a piece of legislation extending the ban on certain assault weapons. I do not support any new legislation of an assault weapon ban nature.
Experts are predicting kind of a tough fight between Romney and his biggest ideological opponent, Mitt Romney from 4 years ago. Those guys don't agree on anything.
And there are two Mitt Romneys.
This guy has played both sides of the fence with equal fervor.
The TARP got paid back, and it kept the financial system from collapsing.
So you feel it was well worth it?
Well, it was the right thing to do. TARP ought to be ended. TARP ought to be ended.
Mitt Romney flip-flopped again. He's trying to take credit for saving the auto industry.
I'm not willing to sit back and say too bad for Michigan, too bad for the car industry.
After he proposed letting the auto industry die.
That's exactly what I said. Let Detroit go bankrupt. Let Detroit go bankrupt.
You're only allowed a certain number of flips before people begin to doubt your character.
I think people understand that I'm a man of steadiness and constancy.
Who is this guy? Can you trust him?
Mitt Romney's reputation as a flip-flopper who changes position. He's changed his position on a number of issues.
The mixed messages are what did it.
Some people are going to see those changes of mind as awfully politically convenient. It's an issue of character.
The core issues for a man, as you said earlier, who doesn't seem to have a core.
I'm running for office, for Pete's sake.
These are challenging and important times for America. We want and deserve solutions. Well, first of all, as you say normally in your own speeches, the housing bubble came from the Federal Reserve inflating the money supply. Now, that's the core of the housing bubble. And I happen to be with you on auditing the Fed and frankly, on firing Bernanke. And Ron Paul does make a legitimate point.
4 years ago, Ron Paul stood alone in predicting the impact on America of too much government, too much war, too much spending. Today, Ron Paul leads the pack as candidate after candidate recognizes reality.
Of course, Ron Paul was very happy tonight to have all the conversation about Bernanke and the Federal Reserve and the need to audit the Federal Reserve, which is an issue he's been pioneering for, I guess, 30 years now.
Congressman Paul was right on that.
I am on Ron Paul's bill to audit the Federal Reserve.
Running organizations like the TSA, I would agree with Representative Paul.
Congressman Paul, you're correct. You do exactly what Ron Paul said.
And Ron Paul does make a legitimate point.
Ron Paul, one message for 30 years.
We have allowed our nation to be overtaxed and overregulated and overrun by bureaucrats. The founders would be ashamed of us for what we're putting up with.
I'm Newt Gingrich, and I'm announcing my candidacy for President of the United States. I made a mistake. These are challenging and important times for America. We want and deserve solutions.
Ron Paul, a visionary who predicted the financial crisis, a leader with a plan to solve it. The Paul plan? Balance the budget, cut $1 trillion year one, eliminate 5 federal bureaucracies, end the foreign wars and nation building, rein in the Federal Reserve, pay down the debt, cut taxes to create jobs. Ron Paul, a plan to restore America now.
We want and deserve solutions.
You do exactly what Ron Paul said.
What's up with these sorry politicians? Lots of bark. When it's showtime, whimpering like little shih tzus. You want big cuts. Ron Paul's been screaming it for years. Budget crisis? No problem. Cut $1 trillion year one. That's trillion with a T. Department of Education? Gone. Interior, Energy, HUD, Commerce? Gone. Later, bureaucrats. That's how Ron Paul rolls. Want to drain the swamp? Ron Paul. Do it.
I'm Ron Paul, and I approve this message.